Hello. Welcome to Catherine's Countdowns, where I bring you my weekly top 10s. I am Catherine. I am the all-encompassing wisdom of the internet. My knowledge is quite extensive. I've prepared a list of 10 Bob's Burgers episodes in celebration of the new season for us. I love it. Burger of the day, anyone? I love it. Bob's Burgers is an American animated sitcom created by Lauren Bouchard for the Fox Broadcasting Company. The series centers on the Belcher family parents Bob and Linda and their children Tina, Jean and Louise, who run a hamburger restaurant. Here are the top 10 Bob's Burgers episodes I have collected. Number 10. Broadcast Wagstaff School News. Tina decides to audition for the Wagstaff School News, a school news program taught by Mr. Grant, the videocom teacher. When Tammy, her former icon best friend from Bad Tina, manipulates Tina into talking excessively slower than usual, she ends up as staff intern, making Tammy the anchor, Andy and Ollie Pesto the field reporters, and Zeke the sports broadcaster. When she sees that the Wagstaff School News is all about gossip instead of expected news, she is left with no choice until she finds out about a series of defecations committed by a serial pooper.
I left my shoebox diorama for a minute and someone pooped in it. It was about the Industrial Revolution.
Classified by her as the Mad Pooper, but to Linda as the butler. As a result of this, she makes her own newscast called Tina News to share to the public about the Mad Pooper, drawing more attention to Tina News than the Wagstaff School News, angering Mr. Grant and Tammy. When the WSN makes a reenactment showing Tammy dressed up as Tina taking a number 2 in the library, the whole school believes that the culprit is Tina, resulting in her being sent to the principal's office. Though when Tina believes that the Mad Pooper will strike at the anti-smoking assembly in the gymnasium, Louise distracts the school secretary. Tina makes a run for it and confronts the Mad Pooper.
Tina, what are you doing? Get down! Oh my God!
Come out of the shadows, Mad Pooper.
Who is revealed to be nobody else than Zeke. He claims he was responsible for being the Mad Pooper so he could stimulate the attention towards Tina News, and then poops in the gymnasium. Louise, who also is in the gym, pushes Tammy towards the falling turd, but it doesn't strike her. Back at the Wagstaff School News, Tammy hails Louise as a hero for saving her hair and claims that Zeke is not in trouble because his family moves around a lot. Mr. Grant, on behalf of the WSN, apologizes to Tina for making the school think that she was the Mad Pooper and presents a new WSN special, The Tina Table, hosted by Tina herself. Number 9. Bad Tina. Tina shows new girl Tammy around the school, but after the rebellious Tammy eggs her on, Tina shows her a spy hole into the boys' locker room, but they get caught and sent to detention. The now rebellious Tina starts to become upset with her parents, and when they leave her to babysit Jean and Louise while they see Cake, a show presenting patty cake in the style of Stomp. She invites Tammy, Zeke and Jimmy Jr. to her house and Tammy convinces them to get drunk on margarita mix.
I dare us all to drink this! I took a little booze cruise through your living room. Wow! Oh my God, I can't stop! I can't stop!
I'm dancing, baby!
Until Jimmy Jr. accidentally breaks one of her porcelain toys, and Tina tells them to leave. Tammy, however, steals Tina's notebook full of potentially embarrassing erotic friend fiction and blackmails her with it, while Jean and Louise force her to do their chores so they don't reveal the margarita party to their parents. While trying to sneak out with margarita mix for Tammy, Tina gets caught and is grounded, and an upset Tammy warns her that she'll read her friend fiction out at lunch the following day. The next morning, a distraught Tina finally cracks and tells her mom, Linda, everything. And Linda tells her that she's the only person who can make her feel embarrassed and not to care what anyone else thinks. This cheers her up, and she decides to write some new friend fiction to read out herself instead. Jean and Louise, having found out about Tammy's blackmailing, steal back the notebook. But Tina still decides to read her story Buttloose, like Footloose but with touching butts, only to have the entire cafeteria laugh at her, until Tammy has a sudden bout of flatulence.
Tammy farted!
Oh my God! My ears can smell it! Laugh hard, laugh hard!
And the school laugh at her instead, causing her to flee with embarrassment, farting the whole way.
But, that wasn't me. No. Oh, ow, that one hurt. That wasn't me.
Tina, now relieved, thinks that things have turned out okay. Number 8. OT, the outside toilet. The episode starts with a crate falling off from a truck and into a cliff, where the wooden crate breaks and its contents start to glow. Bob is to go to court to contest a parking ticket, and borrows one of Mort's client's suits that was left behind in the funeral home. Meanwhile, Jean, who was demoralized when already failing a health assignment, discovers a talking toilet in the woods capable of warming the seat and telling jokes, among other things, as he is on his way home. Jean shows his siblings the toilet, where he finds out that its battery is almost drained and needs charging. The driver of the truck finds and tracks Jean back to the restaurant, where Bob and Linda are on their way to celebrate the dismissal of his ticket. Mostly due to how rich he looks in the said suit. The truck driver, who introduces himself as Max Flush, announces that his toilet costs $14,000 and that he's very motivated to locate it. When Jean refuses to tell him the location of the toilet, he stakes outside the restaurant. The kids enlist the help of the Pesto children and seek to transfer the toilet in a safer place.
9 minutes of battery life remaining.
Oh no! No! Hurry! Go!
Meanwhile, Bob and Linda go to a fancy restaurant where Bob and his suit are being sent free drinks by the other patrons, and gets drunk to the point that they have forgotten how to order food. They find Jean and the battery-drained toilet on the road, and they go to a coffee shop, where Max Flush finds them and is revealed to be a toilet thief. The toilet is brought back to its owner in King's Head Island after a tearful goodbye with Jean. Number 7. Ear-C Rider. Mort is holding a funeral for Horny Dave, the head of a motorcycle club called the One-Eyed Snakes. After the ceremony, the gang goes to Bob's Burgers to have beers, much to Bob's dismay. After having wrecked much of the restaurant, Critter, the new leader of the One-Eyed Snakes, pays for the damage and gives Bob a card which he can use to ask the gang for a favor in the future. Meanwhile, the kids are crossing by a street corner which is often occupied by skateboarding teenagers after school. Louise taunts Logan, one of the teens, to the point where he grabs Louise's bunny ears and runs off. Louise, unable to cope with the loss, starts to act crazy and wears a hoodie as a replacement. She is determined to get her bunny ears back.
I got your name.
Logan.
Logan? What's this in my pocket? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $9 for the hat.
You can't buy me like a cheap sex lady. Too slow down low.
When bribery fails, Louise begins to follow and stalk Logan in numerous desperate attempts to get him back. Logan is resistant because he believes that the bunny ears have given him good luck. She finally tattles on Logan to his parents. When his parents confront him, Logan tells Louise that he had them sent to the dumpster. Louise tries to track them down to the waste management plant, but it is believed that they are incinerated and she is too late. This brings Louise to her breaking point as she plots revenge. She cashes in the One-Eyed Snakes card and the gang arrives to threaten Logan. He confesses to never having thrown the bunny ears away and pulls them out of his backpack to give back to Louise. The gang returns to Bob's Burgers to celebrate, as Louise tells them food and drinks are on the house. Having learned that their son was threatened, Logan's family gathers the neighbors and they all confront the One-Eyed Snakes in the restaurant. Linda also gets into a fight with Logan's mom.
So this is the Brad who picked on my Louise, huh? Let me tell you something, Miss Prissy. Bikers aren't the problem in this town. It's your kids. They're a bunch of animals.
Oh, it is your kids who cannot be controlled.
Tell this hussy to calm down.
Oh, I will not calm it.
Len, don't do this.
All right.
Everybody just calm down.
When Critter tries to break up the fight, Logan's mom accidentally tears off Horny Dave's jacket from Critter, and a standoff between the neighbors and the one-eyed snakes ensues. Critter, in an attempt to prove his leadership, plans to beat the neighbors up. Before the fight can begin, however, Mudflap, Horny Dave's pregnant lover, who Critter had sex with, goes into labor. Logan's dad is a doctor and takes charge of the delivery, where everyone in the restaurant lends a hand. After the baby is born, Mudflap confesses to Critter that he is the child's biological father. Everyone is at peace, except for Louise and Logan, who were looking forward to the fight. But Louise is happy to have her ears back anyway. Number 6. Art Crawl. To avoid Linda's fragile sister Gail, who is hanging her paintings at the restaurant, Bob and his children tour the town's annual art crawl where they criticize paintings. Louise is surprised when someone buys a painting from the art supply store managers, whom she hates, and ends up getting exiled by the elderly couple, Edith and Harold. Bob and the kids return home from the art crawl and discover Gail's paintings of animal anuses on display in the restaurant. Bob worries that Gail's paintings will cause the restaurant to lose business, but Linda wants to encourage Gail's artistic nature. Thus, she insists that the paintings will be taken down at the end of the art crawl, which is only a few days away. Realizing how bad the art crawl paintings are, Louise opens an art sale outside of the restaurant and forces her siblings to paint crap artwork as an easy way to earn money. 27 minutes later, Gene completes his laborious painting of a robot ninja fighting a tape recorder vampire at Stonehenge with his 28-year-old albino friend. Tina paints a portrait of her dentist naked. Louise disagrees with their paintings, although she later agrees to let them paint, as long as they do it in a realistic way. Bob catches on to the scheme, and replaces Gail's paintings with his kids knowing Linda will love the replacements, but Gail sees through it. Bob almost levels with Gail to tell her why he replaced her paintings, until Edith and Harold arrive at the restaurant in an effort to forbid displaying the anus paintings, both deeming them offensive. Preferring to side with Gail over the couple, Bob scares them off with the anus paintings.
Horse anus. Oh. Look at it.
No!
Chicken anus.
No!
Take a closer look. Fox anus.
Harold!
Gail, I'm commissioning a new series of anus paintings. 2 words. Bigger and more.
Oh.
Out! I cast you out!
Bob declares the restaurant an anus restaurant by hanging the paintings on the establishment's walls, and encourages Gail to paint more anus portraits. Meanwhile, Louise's art sale is failing, so she replaces Tina and Gene with classmates Red and twins Andy and Ollie Pesto. Edith and Harold continue to protest against the anus paintings, and Bob declares that the paintings will be a permanent installation. The next morning, Bob discovers the anuses have been covered over with painted pink underpants and accuses Edith of vandalism. Despite Louise's surprising art sale success, she becomes very bossy and acts like a pimp to the boys. However, she sees Bob entering the art crawl commission, so she follows him and witnesses Gene and Tina learning how to paint. Bob demands an apology, but Edith and Harold make it clear that they did not do anything to Gail's paintings. In retaliation, Bob paints anuses on Edith and Harold's paintings, both of which are works composed entirely of black dots. Bob later gets arrested by officers Julia and Cliffany for defacing Edith's property, and it is revealed that Linda censored the anuses, not Edith. Linda explains that she had frequent hallucinations of animal anuses that made her paint an image of her pink underpants over the canvases.
Butts, 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 butts,
Louise pays for the damaged paintings with the money that she earned from selling paintings at the art crawl. Number 5. The Belchies. Teddy tells the Belcher kids that the abandoned taffy factory, which is scheduled for demolition the following day, contains hidden treasure. This turns out to be a joke, the punchline of which is that the map he draws looks like a butt. But Louise takes it seriously and convinces Jean and Tina to go with her that night to find the treasure. To Louise's frustration, Tina has invited Jimmy Pesto Jr. to come along, and wherever Jimmy Jr. goes, his best friend Zeke must go as well. Further complicating matters are Andy and Ollie Pesto, who show up randomly out of nowhere. Meanwhile, Bob and Linda have their scheduled sex night, though they have difficulty getting in the mood, and their plans are interrupted by the discovery that the children snuck out. They go looking for them, becoming equally lost in the factory. Louise gets trapped in a pit with a man made of taffy, whom she names Taff and becomes close friends with during her isolation. Eventually Bob and Linda reunite with the kids, and they escape just in time to avoid being killed in the demolition. Louise wants to take Taff home with her, but Linda convinces her to throw him away. The episode ends with the revelation that the coastline around the factory perfectly matches the map drawn by Teddy, and that unbeknownst to the kids, Taff was full of gold bars.
Teddy was right about the treasure in the book. The next day, you will see Taff is washed up on the beach, and oh my God, is that a gold bar? The wave just washed him out far. The kids didn't look close enough in the taffy mud. You have a taffy mud. There's treasure in that mud. I want that taffy mud. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Number 4. Eat, spray, Linda. It's Linda's birthday, and Bob needs more time to plan her birthday surprise. As Linda grows more impatient with how long it's taking Bob, Tina, Jean, and Louise to put together her surprise, she volunteers to go to the store for groceries. On her way to buy groceries, she runs across the Chalk of the Town Chalk Festival, and once at the grocery store, she finds herself cut in line and then stuck behind a woman who proceeds to take forever with purchasing cups for Chalk of the Town. Already despondent over her birthday and the many irritations she has had to endure, Linda returns to her car only to find it stuck between two larger vehicles. Having little room for maneuvering, she makes her way to the car door, opens it up enough to get her purse and keys in it, and unfortunately splits her pants trying to get into the car. Her pants splitting causes her to move forward in surprise, closing the car door behind her with both her cell phone and keys inside. The grocery store won't allow Linda to make a call to Bob to tell him what has happened. Putting a plastic grocery bag over her pants to cover up the split, Linda decides to try and take the bus back to Wonder Wharf, but gets on the wrong bus and has to get off to walk back. Meanwhile, Bob and the kids realize that Linda hasn't returned yet, and decide to call Teddy to drive them to the store to go look for her. Not finding her at the store, Jean suggests a bakery that he and Linda go to frequently as a place to look for her. They go to the bakery, but Bob finds that Linda was banned for taking too many free samples. Tina then suggests that they go to the Royal Oyster Hotel, where Linda enjoys going to the bathroom. Although Linda is not at the hotel, Bob does find out that Linda has been coming to the hotel for years to go to the bathroom, and that the staff all like her.
You seen Linda today? Oh please, it's barely noon. She does her PM in the PM.
Hi, Tim.
Hey Tina, how you doing, girl?
Huh, well, she's not here, so we better go.
Running out of places to look, Louise suggests a local pet shop where she and Linda enjoy cuddling with the puppies. Realizing that Linda doesn't have her keys to get back into the apartment, Bob and the kids head home to see if she has made her way back. As this is going on, Linda gets sprayed by a skunk twice while walking back home, breaks her glasses, and is forced to hitchhike and eventually get in a horse trailer to make her way back. She finds her way blocked by the Chalk of the Town festival and quickly gets into an argument with the woman who previously held her up at the grocery store. Without a ticket to get in, Linda decides to run through the festival of sidewalk chalk displays, all the while pursued by the woman who is wrecking the displays right and left. Linda finally loses the woman when she leaps over a display crafted to look like a chasm and the woman refuses to jump. Linda arrives back at the apartment and breaks in when she can't get in any other way. Linda finds out that Bob and the kids have prepared a homemade spa day at the apartment for her. Bob tells Linda that he learned a lot about her today and that he's happy to find that he is still finding out new things about his wife after being married all these years. Bob tells her he's sorry her birthday was terrible, but Linda replies that it was the best birthday ever, showing her that she still has spunk even while getting older. Linda even says she wants this to be a new tradition on her birthday. Every year on her birthday, Bob and the kids would have to blindfold her and drop her somewhere with no cell phone or money, and she would find a way home herself. Linda then tells Jean to go grab the vodka so she can make a Bloody Mary out of her skunk bath, which Jean has already been dipping his grilled cheese sandwich in as well. That's gross. But we still love Linda. Happy birthday, Linda. Number 3.
Purple Rain Union. Linda's high school reunion is coming up, and the planner has asked her and her high school band, the Ta-Tas, to play. Linda refuses because the group's debut performance at the talent show was a disaster after they were shown up by another girl band, Bad Hair Day, who went on to achieve industry fame. It is so traumatic that Linda likewise refuses to even attend the reunion, as her classmates booed and humiliated her off the stage. Bob is relieved not to have to go. However, while singing in the shower, Linda regains her passion for performing and gets the band back together, her former high school friends and her sister, Gail. However, Gail only agrees to play with them if she is finally allowed to sing one of her songs. Linda never allowed her to sing her songs during their high school days because they were always very sexual and Gail had a speech impediment.
I wrote a song about it called Genitals.
Linda agrees and further convinces Gail to come by, telling her that her high school crush, Derek Diamantopoulos, will be there. Linda and the Ta-Tas rehearse, writing numerous revenge songs about the classmates who humiliated them. On the night of the reunion, Bob is dismayed to find he has an enormous pimple on his face. Linda hires a babysitter, Jen, for the evening, upsetting Tina, who expected to babysit that night. At the reunion, Linda is excited to perform until, last minute, she is told that Bad Hair Day will be performing first. The band being in town for a big concert and agreeing to drop in for the reunion. Back at the apartment, the kids try to force Jen to take them to the reunion so they can see Linda perform. Jen refuses, but the kids learn of her secret weakness: she is very ticklish. Tina threatens to tickle her into submission, but Jen freaks out and accidentally punches Tina, giving her a black eye. Worried that she will be fired for this, Jen is despondent. Louise proposes that they won't tell if Jen takes them to the reunion, and that they all give one another black eyes so that no one will be suspected of anything, which the rest of them go along with, despite having reservations. Meanwhile, Bob tries to hide his pimple, but it becomes the excited focus of Derek Diamantopoulos, now a dermatologist, and several other attendees who work in similar professions. They convince him to have a good time and help him accept his pimple as something unique and unusual. Bad Hair Day's performance is a success, and Linda, irritated, snaps at Gail, telling her that they won't be playing any of her songs. Gail is hurt and refuses to play with the band. As the Ta-Tas get ready to perform, Linda has a flashback to the humiliating night of the talent show and flees the stage, crying. As she runs down the street, Jen and the kids see her, and Jen convinces Linda that even if her band is bad, she should perform because she loves it. Just as Jen acknowledges that she is a terrible babysitter, but that she loves doing it. Linda returns to the reunion and apologizes to everyone and to Gail. Rather than singing any of their revenge songs, she invites Gail to sing her song, a very sexual ode to Derek, who uncomfortably watches from the audience. The song is a rousing success and their classmates cheer. As they drive home, Bob and Linda remark on the good time they had, though the kids insist on popping Bob's pimple, which they succeed in doing, to his disappointment. Bob asks where Gail is, and Linda states that Gail found a ride home, after being enticed by her song. Derek and Gail are hooking up in the back of his car.
Number 2.
Burger Boss. The episode starts as Bob is showing off a video game that he bought for the restaurant, hoping for more income. The video game is Burger Boss, an old-school game that Bob was known for being the best in his school at it. Jimmy Pesto comes over and pushes Bob aside to give it a try himself. Jimmy beats Bob's high score and has his name written as Bob Sucks to humiliate him. Linda yells at him for starting this crazy war with the video game, calling it one of his peeing races. Bob corrects Linda, telling her it's in fact a pissing contest.
How about this?
Bob gets obsessed with beating the high score to clear his name, so he spends countless hours on it, to the point where he gets carpal tunnel syndrome and has to take painkillers and wear a brace on each arm. Linda gets very tired of Bob's obsession with beating the game, so she has it sent off, with Bob Sucks still on the leaderboard. Bob runs after the truck carrying it and finds out that it was sent to an arcade called Family Funtime. Bob takes a visit, only to find out that he needs to have his kids present with him. Lying to Linda, he takes the children to what she believes are sailing lessons.
Excuse me, my kids and I would like to come in.
We were made by this guy.
Yeah.
He had sex, then we happened. Deal with it.
As they go to the arcade, the kids freeload off of a kid named Kevin, who is having a birthday party, and Bob attempts to beat the high score on Burger Boss. Daryl, a video game enthusiast, decides to teach Bob on the condition that he beats up his bully, Tyler. Bob agrees, and they start playing, while the kids are starting to get bored of crashing the birthday parties. They head to the building next door, Glencrest Yacht Club. Going inside, they start to cause mischief, while Bob meets Daryl's bullies at the arcade. Bob takes more of his painkillers, much to Daryl's disapproval, and he gets beat up. Bob wakes up to find Tyler as a chicken leg from the game, a result from the drugs. While Bob runs after Tyler, he runs into the yacht club where the kids are and starts to fight off the workers. A member calls Linda about the incident, and she heads down to see what is going on. She believes it's a great achievement to be proud of, but she soon finds out the truth when she sees the damage done by Bob and the kids. Jimmy Pesto happens to be a member, and the other members decide to question whether to kick Jimmy out of membership or not, while Linda takes her family home, very upset. In the end, Daryl makes a visit to the restaurant to see Bob's restaurant and notes that he was right about Linda's big breasts. Bob tells his family that he doesn't mind Bob Sucks being at the top of the leaderboard anymore, as he kisses Linda. After she leaves, Bob then gives Daryl some cash to knock Bob Sucks off the high score.
Number 1.
Mazel Tina. Tina does not make the cut on the guest list for Tammy's bat mitzvah, but gets to attend as part of the catering staff when Bob and the family are hired for the event, where she is still excited about the prospect of scoping out the boys from other schools who will be there. When Louise convinces the party coordinator, Janet, to quit, Tammy enlists Tina to fill in as her coordinator. Tina helps an ungrateful Tammy follow the schedule and navigate her various family members. Meanwhile, the rest of the Belchers attempt to stay at their catering post, but are gradually each seduced away by the variety of other foods being offered. Bob and Linda in particular become so caught up that they find themselves at a wedding reception in the same venue. While inspecting a faulty light in the interior of a large, hollow, light-up replica of Tammy's head, Tammy catches Louise in the act of trying to pour guacamole out the nose of the replica head, causing Louise to accidentally drop the headset in the bowl of guacamole, and both Tammy and Louise become trapped inside.
What's going on?
I think we're going up.
God, it won't open.
No!
Help! I'm in here!
Help us!
I'm in here! Tammy, the Bob Mitzvah girl!
No one can hear us over the terrible band!
The lesbians are not a terrible band!
Yes, they are!
How dare you!
Oh, help!
After unclogging the headset, in a fit of rage, Louise secretly turns her headset off in response to Tammy's nasty attitude, pretending they're still clogged, leaving them unable to communicate with Tina or anyone else to let them know where they are. Following Tammy's previous order to keep the party moving no matter what, Tina takes Tammy's place in the bat mitzvah activities, receiving congratulations from Tammy's family and friends, who begin calling her Other Tammy, reading from the Torah, and leading the dances. Tammy becomes dismayed when she realizes that her nasty behavior and attitude has resulted in her family and friends not noticing or caring that she is missing. Louise helps her realize that she's been a terrible botzilla and eventually reveals the headset is unplugged, but demands that Tammy invite Tina to all her future parties. Tammy agrees, but when the girls contact Tina, she ignores them in order to stay in the spotlight. Tammy and Louise manage to break through the bottom of the replica just as Tina leads the Ladies' Choice dance with the most popular boy at the party.
My son, he's doing my dance!
Oh my god!
Lower the Tammy head!
Uh-oh.
Tina apologizes to Tammy, but tells her that she now understands why she acted so obnoxious. Being the center of attention is intoxicating. Tammy is momentarily pleased that someone else understands her, but is incensed again when Tina thanks her for coming to her bat mitzvah. Before Tammy can attack her, Tina calls everyone to dance the hora, and the partygoers lift a furious Tammy into the air. The Belchers meet up and exit the party as Tina wishes Tammy a happy bat mitzvah. Mazel tov to all.
I hope you enjoy your time spent with me here at Catherine's Countdowns. Leave a suggestion on what you think I should analyze next week for my top 10 countdown, and please, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Seductive cyborgs for everyone.